Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting, where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlock tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks popping, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc. I am 1/3 of the greatest mixed tag team in podcasting. Legend J Mac. With me as always is everybody's favorite Uncle Slam.
What's up, everybody?
And today we've got Tucker Michaels on the show once again to give us his expertise on the subjects. He says, peace, everybody, peace. Before we get started, don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe. Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, all the things. Go give us a like and a share and a comment so we can keep bringing all this great content to you. Okay, I'm floating my own boat now and everything, but at the end of the day, if I don't, who will?
Exactly. You got to be your own fan first.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, we got another week of wrestling going on. We had actually something big happen last night. We will touch on that here in a little bit. I was kind of shocked myself. I haven't seen the footage or anything like that, but we will get to that sooner than later. How's everybody been doing this week?
Been a hell of a week.
Been a hell of a week. Yeah, we got the NFL playoffs starting this weekend too and everything. I don't know if any of you all are football fans. I know me and Uncle Slam are definitely. I don't know how much of a football fan you are, Tucker Michaels. Not that this is a football show, but hey, I figured I'd give them their props too.
Been a minute, but I like it still.
Cool.
Go Birds.
You're right. Yeah, he's got them birds on. Of course, you see my background. It's all Boston everything. The Sox, the Celtics, and the Patriots, of course. So, but yeah, man, it's been kind of a weird week in wrestling, man. There's been some big stories, but it's kind of been outside of the ring and everything. It hasn't really been, much going on as far as like, I guess, new stories, new developments and stories other than one. But I did see. Oh, go ahead. Say again.
Are you talking about in the ring or out of the ring?
I'm talking about out of the ring. It's been a pretty interesting week.
I was going to say, there's been some title changes going on, like in ring or whatever. So, it ain't
right. But other than that, that's all there's not really been any big story developments as far as like that, big changes in the stories. Braun Breaker and them are still trying to kill people and,
Well, of course, that ain't never going to change.
Right. But no, I was interested to see this. Man, talk about nostalgia. But on this day, 30 years ago, Steve Austin debuted on a Monday Night Raw or on wrestling. I can't remember if it was on wrestling or Monday Night Raw. I think it was Monday Night Raw. I was like, wow, man. And I believe that was, what was it? The 5th or 6th is the day that I found this. I was like, that is crazy, man. 30 years ago. And, goes by that quick because I remember these things,
Yeah, that just shows that you're old.
This is true. I'm not doubting that at all, man. The gray shows that I'm old. But no, man, what do y'all think of, just a quick summary? I mean, everybody pretty much knows, but Steve Austin debuting on Raw. How, was that defined as a changing moment in the Monday Night Wars, or was it just a moment that nobody saw the impact it was going to have?
it was must see TV at the time because whenever Stone Cold came on, I mean, like you never knew what he was going to do. So like you had to watch to see what was going to happen. So I mean, to me, that was just like Stone Cold, like always made me want to tune in and stuff. I mean, like as much as I like what was going on WCW at the time, and I would go back and forth like most people, pretty much like depending on the match or whatever. But Stone Cold was it. You know what I'm saying? Like he was. I mean, he was beating up his boss. Like he was doing everything that everybody wanted to do, but couldn't do. He said the quiet part out loud, pretty much. Middle fingers to the boss, stun him and shit. So I loved Austin and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's when wrestling was probably the best, honestly. So
I
I'm,
agree, but
I'm
I
just
don't
glad it
know.
was there.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I got to witness. That's what I've said. I was like, we, especially me and you, Uncle Slam, we have been really lucky that we have gotten to see all the big eras of wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tucker, what do you think? What do you think
I
about the
don't.
impact? Do you think it was more shifted Monday Night Wars, or it was just a big moment in itself, and it really didn't have anything to do with
I
the
don't
wars?
think that it was really such a big moment in that. I'm sitting here doing the math in my head, and if he debuted in '96 in January, he would have been the ringmaster. He was paired with Ted DiBiase. He was the $1 million champion. You fast forward only 3 months, and he's at WrestleMania 12 as the ringmaster, still as the $1 million champion. I don't remember who he went up against, but then you go, and that year was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart Iron Man match, 60 minutes. Nobody was given two thoughts about who Stone Cold or who Steve Austin, the ringmaster, was. And then you fast forward just another 2 years, and he's main event in WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels, and he's becoming the world champion. And so you've got, like, I mean, God, just such a career in such a short amount of time.
That's it. People don't and to go back to what you were saying, I don't think it really necessarily affected the Monday Night Wars as far as his debut.
Right.
Now he himself, what he turned himself into,
Mhm.
that affected the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to go back to what you said, people don't realize how quick
Yeah.
the Stone Cold run was.
Yeah.
Because of the neck injury and everything, it shortened. What was it? 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
That's nothing compared to like the Hogan run, the Flair run.
Yeah, at least a decade or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's that to me. That's also what makes Austin such a phenomenon in the business, was because of the fact that it was just such a short time period.
Yeah.
But I just saw it. I thought it was a pretty cool story.
It wasn't like The Rock, who went on to movie stardom. He's pretty much like Austin is basically just like frozen in time in this one era with nothing else really. He's got his podcast, he's done a couple movies, but he's not done anything else. Like he didn't go on to Hollywood like The Rock did. He's just basically frozen in time as this untouchable figure that nobody will ever live up to.
But I also think that plays into who Stone Cold is that, if Stone Cold's not wrestling, he just wants to be on a 4x4 or something out on his ranch, just drinking beer and riding around and hunting. He's very simple life person.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me almost like a Brock Lesnar. Like he just, like he enjoyed the moment and the money at the time, but now he just wants to be left the fuck alone.
That's it. That's completely it. Yeah. But I just thought it was a crazy little tidbit that 30 years went by that quick. That's crazy. And like you said, Uncle Slam, what a run it was. And I'm just thankful I got to sit there and see it, Best time, my opinion, the best time in wrestling was the Attitude Era time. I'm not saying the Attitude Era in WWE was the best. I'm just saying that whole time period where WCW, ECW, everybody was trying to
Yeah.
punch each other in the face and take over the business. It was just great.
So you were getting everybody's best shot, and that competition, usually builds quality and shit. Not quality, but it drives competitive, it makes you better. So when you
Big
got
time.
two different companies trying to outdo each other, then they're always going to work towards what's best.
Yep. I seen this one too. Bray Wyatt's WWE win in 2017 was the last time WWE had a men's world champion in his 20s.
Huh.
It's been almost 10 years since a champion has been in his 20s.
Damn.
What do y'all think about that? Do you think that they stick too much to the older guys, or do you think that they let them mature a little bit before
Well,
they
that's what I was
put
going
that?
to say. Do you think it takes that long to get to that status or that point, like where you can be like be that guy, or like be that main event, or like be, Mr. WrestleMania? I
I
mean,
think
because
it
that's a
does.
lot to put on, like a young person or somebody, 21 or something, to be the face of a company, have all that pressure on you.
I 100% agree. Look at Randy Orton. He was, what was it, 24 at the time
Yeah,
that
I
he
think
became
so.
champion? And he even says, I wasn't ready for it. I
Yeah.
was not ready for what, they were trying to do.
Mhm.
And, so, I mean, I wonder sometimes if, they do that and just wait and, let's see what this person's going to do, as opposed to let's just throw the belt on them because they're white hot right now. Are they going to be able to sustain this longevity of who they are? And again, that's the reason why I think the Intercontinental Championship is so important. We've touched on this before. It used to be that they would put the Intercontinental Championship on you, and if you could handle that pressure and you could, carry the company in that way, as the mid card, because that's what they would do back then. Is the world champion would be the A show in a town, and then the B show, whatever you want to call it, would be in another town, and the main event would be the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
And if you could carry that and sustain that, well, then that's where they decided, okay, let's try to put the strap on you and see if you can carry the company itself. You
It makes
used to,
sense.
yeah, used to be a testing title, the workhorse testing title.
Mm.
I just think it's crazy that, they haven't had anybody in their 20s, and I'd never thought about it until I seen that thing.
Well, I remember like Jericho. I just saw an interview with him recently, where whenever he did his big Mania match with Shawn back, what was it, WrestleMania 19 or 20, how one of the things that he was talking about was he had what was his show, the little talk show that he would do on Raw.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The Raw
Yeah.
is Jericho or something like
Raw,
that.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it was. But one of the things that he was talking about was he was making fun of how old Shawn was. Well, and at the time, he was 39 years old. Well, what is Cody, like 40, 41?
I don't know. I'm not
Cody,
exactly sure how old
yeah.
Cody is.
Yeah, he's pushing. I know, but like that was like a big talking point. And back then, the wrestlers they weren't Sean kind of laid the groundwork in that. People other than maybe Flair and Hogan, a couple guys who should have hung it up a little bit earlier than what they did. But yeah, like these guys, they're I mean even Gunther, he's pushing 40. These guys are getting up there, and I don't know if it's so much that they don't have the person to put the strap on that young, or if they're like actively preventing doing that for fear of failure or somebody. But I mean, what was Cena, Orton was the youngest at 24. Cena was in his early 20s whenever he completely held the company. But Cena's he's just cut from a different cloth. Like they just don't have anybody like that. I don't know if it's so much that they're not wanting to put it on it, or if there's just nobody that age who's built the same way.
In saying what you said, and I'm not talking about the character, I'm just talking about him himself and with his attitude towards the business. Do you think that Cena could have went back to the 80s and been successful or as successful? And that's for both of them. Like transport him out of time
I think
and put him back then.
Yeah, I think that Cena's a guy who he was so cookie cutter, and so many people hated him for that for so long. I think you could have pretty much plopped John Cena in any era, and he would have been successful.
And I was going to say the cookie. I don't want to say cookie cutter, but the hustle, loyalty, respect thing.
Yeah,
that would have went over huge in the 80s.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because to me that was just kind of like an alternate to say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and train.
Absolutely,
yeah, pretty much. I think he, like I said, I mean, I kind of agree with Tucker on this. You know what I'm saying? I think his hard work, his dedication, his love for the business would have translated, and he might not have been as big, but like he still would have been a star just because he wanted that shit so bad. Like I think, I mean, like he would eventually broke through.
I think so too. I think he's one of the few modern day guys that could have went back then and really succeeded the same way he did in today's game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just
you
thought
take somebody like Triple H, I don't think he would. Other than just being the larger than life bodybuilder, somebody like Brock Lesnar, I don't think that type of aggression and again, other than just his general physique, they both would have been great heels probably in the 80s, but I don't think the 80s was a time for the anti-hero. And John Cena is Superman. He's just the white bread baby face.
Yep.
And so there's not an era that doesn't go over, at least for the women and the kids.
True. The hero, there has to be one hero.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Right.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Check this out. So I found this extremely funny. So back in the day, everybody knows that Freddie Prinze Jr. Worked as a story writer for the WWE.
Yeah, it still blows my mind.
Right. There was nobody better to get. No offense, Freddie Prinze, but
Yeah, I'm still blown away.
But so Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor who plays Fred in the Scooby-Doo movies, was the one who came up with the idea to make Jeff Hardy the WWE World Champion for the first time in Armageddon 2008. So when Jeff Hardy goes into the Hall of Fame, he has to thank Freddie Prinze Jr. for his first WWE title shot because he's the one that went to bat for him. I think that is absolutely hilarious.
I'm pretty sure people have done worse to become champ. So if that's the worst you've got to do is say Freddie Prinze Jr.
It's so odd to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to thank Shaggy or Freddie, I mean.
Right. That's just hilarious. I can see him up there like trying to do a Scooby-Doo impression or something and everything. Thank you, Freddie.
What is the A&E show that he's on? It never fails to make me laugh whenever I see him sitting around the table with Kevin Nash and Beth Phoenix and all those guys.
But I cannot think in what is it? Rivals?
Rivals,
yeah.
Like it cracks me up, to see this, star-studded panel, and then Freddie Prinze Jr. is sitting there at the head of the table.
Oh, the fun. But yeah, it's just like, well, and then and when I think about Freddie Prinze Jr., then it also reminds me that David Arquette is a professional wrestler now.
What?
Yes,
You're joking.
I am dead serious. I just saw a clip with him doing in it and everything, and I don't know what happened and everything, but it was hilarious. He's the big old skinny thing getting thrown around. I think Tucker's having some technical issues.
Yeah, I got a phone call, and for some reason, like that fucked up my stream.
Yeah, it's called "Do Not Disturb." Homie. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I need to.
No, but yeah, I think it's funny. David Arquette's a wrestler. Freddie Prince Jr. is a story writer in wrestling. Freddie Prince Russo.
Freddie Prince Russo.
Um,
I mean, and we can't really even have that conversation without acknowledging the fact that a fucking YouTuber, streamer, is one of the biggest stars in wrestling today.
Right. Hey, I'm not gonna hate because I'm a fan of one particular podcast, especially. I'm not going to say which podcast that is and everything. Headlocks, Heels, and Habit. But at the end of the day, nah, hey, I tell whatever you got to do to make you money, make you money. If people
Absolutely.
want to watch you to make money and everything, let them watch. Let's see here.
I'm just waiting on this whole thing to kick off so I can start my own OnlyFans.
You're not right.
Ew.
All right. So WWE title officially vacated. I don't know if you heard about this, but Oba Femi vacated the NXT championship because he is going up to the main roster.
Huh.
What do y'all think about vacating it as opposed to just dropping it to someone?
so really a different. Are you talking about losing it in a match? And
Yes.
being like,
Doing the job and then going on to the main roster.
I feel like you always do the job. You don't ever vacate a title. That's not good for business.
You don't ever Bret Hart the title.
You don't ever
just-
Bret Hart the title. You drop the title. It's like Triple H said, fuck him. If he don't do business, you do business for him.
I had to take that little pot shot and everything, but
I
no.
expect no less.
So what do you think, though, Uncle Sam? You think he should have dropped it though? For on a serious note, you think he should have dropped it to somebody to
I
get
think it
them
would have been
over?
a better story, like if he had lost it to somebody. It doesn't necessarily bother me too much and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, where kayfabe's kind of gone now and not as big as it was. It doesn't really bother me. So I mean, yeah, it would have been better for him to like lose it to somebody, but it, like I said, like it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. Shit. Like it's kind of just doing business. You know what I'm saying? Now, and they might take this and like make a better story out of it or something. You know what I'm saying? Make a tournament or take two other people and make a better storyline. So kind of wait to see how it goes or whatever.
Right. I like it, but like I also see what they're doing because I think NXT is doing so good right now. But they've also let a few of their people go up that were carrying that brand go up to the main roster. So what they're doing is they're vacating the title, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do, because I've heard that they're going to announce a tournament for the title.
Okay.
Which makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just wondering if that's not the work in and of itself of we're going to have a tournament and we're going to see which one of you all really wants this title. And the we're going to see part is a shoot. Who's going to be the person that steps up? You know, we had Oba Femi, we had Trick Williams, we had we had some TNA people here for a little while, helping out and everything. Joe Hendry, but all them people are up on the main roster now.
Yeah.
So it's like, who's going to take the reins and run with it? That's what I feel like they're doing.
Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I mean, that gives a lot of the stars that wasn't getting a chance to shine to kind of step up and like John Cena, what I'm saying, did back in the day. You got to step up and like when you're giving your shot, you got to take it. So
That's it.
Maybe this will make some more stars, or it might show that some people aren't ready to be stars, and they'll fall to the wayside.
It's going to separate the men from the boys, as they say.
Exactly.
Well, and that's WWE is for as long as I can remember has basically always had that. Whether it's the strongman competition that Maven won, or just Superstars or ECW, they've always had that kind of sideshow. Now it's NXT, and you rise to stardom there. CM Punk did it at ECW. Matt Hardy, I know he was the ECW champion, whenever he was getting over and stuff and started getting a little bit of heat. But then you put him back to the main roster, and I feel like they fumble more often than they don't whenever it comes to those guys. They get to the top of whatever brand, whether it's NXT, ECW, Superstars, whatever, they get to the top, and then they get moved over to the main roster, and then they just fumble them. Because they keep, they go back to their Cody Rhodes, their John Cena's, their Triple H's, all the ones, the Roman Reigns. That was a huge one, and then they fumble the Daniel Bryans and the Matt Hardys, and, luckily CM Punk didn't get fumbled, but it's like they build them up and then they get squashed once they get to the main roster. Even Maven, you could argue could have been one of the biggest stars ever with how they built him up. And then he just was a mid-card act the whole time.
I was getting ready to ask, do you think Maven could have, been more than what he was if they didn't kind of keep him where they did? As far he was a big name jobber. No, I don't want to say jobber because I hate, I understanding the business a little bit more. Nobody is a jobber. They're all professionals. You know what I'm saying? They're enhancement talent. They're there to put on a match with you to spotlight somebody else, and they're there because they're that good at making somebody else look good, So, I mean, I don't want to take any shine away from them. They deserve their flowers too. Thank you to all the enhancement talent in the business as well that don't get recognized. But, I think that's what they did was they just made him into a big name enhancement talent.
Yeah.
Because as far as big moments, and it's nothing against Maven, I actually kind of liked Maven. I think Maven could have been another white bread, baby face that just had the crowd, or at least the women and the kids, in the palm of his hand, like a John Cena.
Yeah.
Even if he never was a world champion. I think Maven had the athletic ability and, he had the basics good enough, to where he could have learned more and been a good, at least mid-card, guy.
About Maven?
Yes. Maven was good in the ring. Maven just had they never gave him anything good other than the fact that you're Maven, you won Tough Enough. That's who you are.
I mean, because, I know who you're talking about, but he just seemed so forgettable.
Well, he was.
Right.
That's kind of what we're saying.
Like it was, who?
But,
I know him now more because of his podcast than I did when he wrestled, honestly, which is kind of sad, honestly.
It is, because and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. They instead of saying, okay, we've got momentum from this guy from where he just won Tough Enough. Let's use that, put something good in him, let him come out, do his thing, and see where it goes. They just brought him out in some black tights and some black boots and said, hey, guys, this is Maven.
Yeah.
He always looked generic because they didn't do him right.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree with you. That's what Like,
I agree
shit,
that they didn't do him right. They didn't use him right. But also, there is an X factor that all the greats have that I think he even now, I've heard him acknowledge it, is that he listened too well. You know, nobody scripted Austin 316 says, I'm just whipped your ass. Nobody, told The Rock, told The Rock, what to say whenever he goes out. I think he went out there and followed the script and did, because the dude is charismatic. He has charisma,
Oh yeah,
and
he's funny as
he's a
crap on
charming
the.
guy, and he has the ability. But I think he came into it of like, all right, I've got to play ball. I'm the underdog. I just kind of fell ass backwards into this because of Tough Enough. I was a school teacher 6 months ago, and now I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna play ball. I'm gonna do what they tell me to do. I'm gonna do what's scripted. When if he had just went out there with Stone Cold or The Rock or one of these guys who was, because he, Undertaker, he eliminated Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. If he had capitalized on that and been himself more as opposed to what they wrote him to be, it probably would be a completely different story. He was like a major part of the video game, the SmackDown Shut Your Mouth at the time.
Yeah,
He was a huge character in that game. And so, like, it wasn't that they didn't try to use him. I think he wasn't usable enough and that he wasn't his own person at that time. Whenever, that's why Taker dropped Deadman at that time. That was just a time where you had to be your own person. You had to go out there, and if they weren't writing for you, you had to fucking write for yourself. And he just didn't capitalize on that like he should have.
I think I see what you're saying. He didn't want to come into the business and step on anybody's toes.
Yeah. And it's just
Yeah,
a
and be
business where you gotta step on some
disrespectful.
toes. Yeah.
And yes, and sometimes you have to be disrespectful and say, "Man, this shit just ain't working."
Yeah.
What's going on is not working. Can we
Yeah.
make a change? And if we can't make a change, then can I go over there?
Right.
And see what
Oh
they
my
got
God,
for me.
can you imagine Maven at TNA?
I think Maven could have succeeded at TNA.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, he would have been. Yeah, oh my gosh, like I
Mid
never
card
even
at
thought about it.
least. Mid card at
I
least.
could see him as a world champ over in like a
Yeah.
TNA type setting.
I could see him getting his
Possibly,
break
yeah.
at TNA and completely blowing up, just like AJ Styles.
Especially if we could get more of, instead of Maven the Tough Enough winner, if we could get more of
The legitimate star.
Maven Huffman.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's his last name. If it's wrong, Maven, I apologize. Please come on our show. But no.
We don't pay, but we're fine.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But
So
no, I
going
mean, and this is like I said, it's no disrespect to Maven. I'm not trying to hate on Maven at all. I just think that there's guys like that we've talked about that earlier. That they just don't use properly.
Yeah.
And it's just it's sad that happens.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't want to go too long on this, but especially Maven. But yeah, hey Maven, man, if you want to come on the show, man, we would be more than gracious to have you and thankful and all that stuff. I don't know about gracious. I don't know why I said that, but you would be gracious. We would be thankful. That's how that
I'll give
works.
you head if you come onto the podcast.
No, quit.
Oh no, sorry.
You can't say things like that. You're gonna get the live band.
Oh right. Yeah. Live band.
Anyways, moving on. So, Gunther. It's this person posted, we've got to be honest at this point. Gunther was supposed to be that guy. He retired Goldberg, he retired John Cena, and yet he's still stuck in the mid card, pulling less than heat than Logan Paul. Week after week, it's the same promo, same tone, same words, and barely any crowd reaction. For someone booked as a destroyer of legends, this run should have been unstoppable. Right now, it feels like wasted momentum. That's just the truth. What do y'all think?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I think he gets plenty of heat. Like every time he steps into an arena, like Free even said shit, like it's like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like And of course, all he has to do is say, he made John Cena tap, or John Cena with his, B, and crowds are going wild. So now I do think that they need to. I mean, like, when's the last time he wrestled or whatever? I mean, like, did he wrestle SmackDown?
I haven't seen SmackDown yet.
Because I haven't seen him in a while wrestle, so I was wondering like if he was injured because he hasn't wrestled since he made John Cena tap. So I don't know.
If he has, it's only been like one time on Raw, because I know a couple of weeks that I've watched Raw, it's just been him coming out doing an interview.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying. Like, I don't
leaving
remember
and
him
stuff.
wrestling for a while. Like, since that match, it's all been him come talking smack. So I mean, I do think he does need to. I mean, I don't understand the whole AJ Styles thing unless he's going to retire him too, and
Right.
go with that angle.
And that's going to be. I like Gunther, but I don't want to see him as a guy that retires people. I want to see him as the ring general. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they're trying to turn Gunther into another Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a Randy Orton, like a legend killer. Like he
Yeah,
retires.
Well,
people.
Important.
I see it like a mix of it.
Yeah.
Because he's retiring legends, but they're trying to make him into this destroying force. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't want to see that. I want to see the ring general. I want to see the guy that was holding the Intercontinental Championship for longer than anybody ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what drew me to him, was the fact that he was this just great wrestler. Not that he was a great wrestler who had, went through this big transformation with his body to get in better shape and everything and blah, 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 all that stuff. That's what drew me to him, not the fact that he's going out here and retiring people.
I think it's another.
Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think it's another example of them just kind of fumbling great talent. I think that they have this idea and concept of what they want to make him, but because if we're gonna be honest, what should have happened was if he was gonna be the one to retire Cena, Cena should have still had the belt, and Gunther should have won it from him. And then now you've got the guy who just retired, John Cena. He's your top heel. He's the world champion. He's got heat, but because there's nothing else on him. They didn't put a title on him. There's nothing else around him. Because of that, he's just now the guy that retired John Cena. That's it. That's all he's got. And even that, almost like you want to put like an asterisk by it because of how Cena went out. Like he didn't pass out in the middle of the ring. He smiled and then gave a little, like so. Like it was a great story for Cena, but then you take that and you turn around and you try to make it into Gunther's story, and it's just not. He has nothing. Yeah, he's the guy who retired Cena. Okay, yeah, the almost 50-year-old man who was going out anyway, who was on his retirement tour. You beat him in his last match after he smiled at you and tapped out. There's just not a lot of substance there to work with to give him the push that should have done. But now if you put the strap on him, you got a completely different story. He retired the never been seen 17. He's now the champion. He's your top heel. People want to come to see him get his ass kicked. There's a plethora of people lined up to be the one to do it and take the strap off of him. You've got something, but they just didn't do it.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I got to thinking about it. You know how I would have done this whole John Cena retirement thing?
What, wouldn't have done it?
Well, no, I would have. I would have done it to a point. I wouldn't have done this tournament thing. What I would have done was, instead of Cena dropping the title to what's his name? Cody
Dominic.
Rhodes.
Oh, Cody.
Instead of Cena dropping the WWE title to Cody, Cena could have kept that title, went on, and hey, he could have even won the Intercontinental Championship at the same time.
Sure.
That would have solidified the GOAT status.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? If that's what they're looking for. So, he could have dropped that title back to Dominic. No issues. You don't reveal that Gunther is coming back.
Right.
Or coming after him. Gunther just retired Goldberg. John Cena's talking retirement. So you don't even, mention these two together. You don't let them cross paths. You don't make it look like anything. And then, you want to turn Cena back babyface before he retires. Well, how do you turn him babyface without him just having to say, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. Cody, you made me see the error of my ways. I'm a good guy again. That was dumb.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, you have the guy who just retired Goldberg come out and beat him. I mean, like, not beat him in the ring, but attack him.
Yeah.
Beat the crap out of him. That cuts down the dates to where he has to appear, blah, 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 instead of this whole 13 dates left, and all that stupid stuff.
But what about the T-shirt sale?
Right. You telling me this you telling me this wouldn't have sold though? I mean, but you see what I'm saying.
Can't sell
right?
T-shirts like that?
Right.
Like, what are you
right.
talking about?
No, the T-shirt sells. But no,
come on now. Little headbands, they don't sell themselves.
But you have him. He just lost the title to Dominic, back to Dominic. And then he turns around. He's still the WWE champion, and he loses the title to Gunther. You just solidified Gunther as your top heel, or a top heel, because he just retired Goldberg, he just retired Cena, and not only did he retire Cena, he just took the title off of Cena. And then on the flip side, Cena doesn't have to do the little, okay, I'm done, He gets to retire with grace and say, I told y'all when it's over, because I just lost 2 championship matches in a row. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I can't keep doing it. I was lucky to get these wins or whatever. You could have played it. That would have been so much more entertaining than watching this 5-6 month countdown that they did of dates and everything.
Yeah. I feel you on that, and I definitely like your idea better than I like what they pulled off. And the only thing I got to kind of add to that is the whole, you saying that he brought, trying to make him almost Brock Lesnar like. Well, doesn't that just add on to the longest reigning Intercontinental champion? Because to do that, you got to be kind of unbeatable to hold that belt that long.
Yeah, but he was more unbeatable as far as wrestling. You know what I'm saying? He was just a better wrestler than you. I look at Gunther as kind of maybe not as skilled as, but I look at him as a modern day Regal.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
And that's what I feel like is more. I don't see Regal as he's a tough SOB, but I don't see him as a Brock Lesnar destroyer. And I feel like that's what they're kind of trying to do with Gunther, when that's not what I see with Gunther. I see a Regal type wrestler.
Yeah.
He's going to out wrestle you in the ring. He's going to, his technique's better than yours. You can't get over on him because he knows the reversal of that. It's just, all that stuff. I think it plays better to who he is.
I agree.
But I definitely agree with all y'all. When it comes to, they have dropped the ball with Gunther. Now I'm not exactly sure what they should have done, but what they're doing now, I think it's kind of stupid because they just, he's just antagonizing, and it's like, his whole point was for a world championship. So I don't want to see him win an Intercontinental again. Like if he's not going for the the heavyweight or the WWE, then what's the point? And the what you were talking about, Legend makes more sense because then he is the top man, and then once you're the top man, you always got challenges. You always got somebody coming out for the belt. It would have been a lot smoother transition into what we got now, which is, I guess they're trying to find somebody for him to fight or whatever, or find a rival or a challenger right now. It's almost like like I said, they're just kind of lost with him. They're just trying to figure out what they're going to do with him.
And to Tucker's point earlier, he's not a spring chicken anymore. So the window's going to close if you don't get him in there now and get him, to where he's carrying that heel persona for a little while.
Okay.
Seth Rollins has got all the ability in the world, but Seth Rollins can't stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's hard to put him as the top heel.
Who do you think they should match up with him to make a good story going down? Like, you think it's the AJ Styles, or do you think there's somebody else that they maybe have in mind, or like who do you think is a good match that would tell a good story, or be between them two?
Man, I'm trying to think. As far as
Because he's on SmackDown, right, or Raw?
he's on Raw.
Raw.
I think him and Punk could have a good go.
I was sitting there thinking,
But it's going to take a while because they're still doing this whole vision on that. So he's kind of tied up right now on that. There's no way he can really deal with 2-on-2 fronts. So I think he's next in line.
I'm trying to think of younger guys that they could, but you can't do
Like
that
Carmelo
either.
Hayes or somebody,
But you can't do that because if you turn around and take a younger guy and then beat Gunther, then it's totally deflates everything Gunther just did.
So you want like an AJ Styles to kind of be the one that he couldn't beat? You think they should kind of go with
Gunther
that
needs
route?
to be undefeated for a minute to really solidify that.
He needs to, if they're going to turn him into a destroyer, he can't lose. He's got to go on a warpath.
Yeah.
Honestly and truthfully, I just thought about this. And I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know for sure, but this is just off the top of my head, just came to me. We know Brock Lesnar's retiring at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what if it's Gunther that retires him? Would
It
that
would
not solidify him?
Yeah,
as
you
Not
would
believable.
almost have
I'm
to.
sorry. Yeah, like I just don't believe that is believable. See a Gunther tap out of Brock Lesnar.
But what if, man?
Well, that goes back to, like nobody is going to believe that Gunther is going to out, whatever. He's not stronger than Brock. But
Yeah.
what if Gunther turns it into an actual wrestling match and he just flat out wrestles him?
An NCAA champ.
I mean, you
Been
can't
out of
fight
it for
somebody
30
when you're in a
years.
headlock.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I don't know.
It would be tough.
I'm not saying
And-
it's got to make sense in reality, but to suspend the disbelief and just go with the story of what they're building Gunther to,
Yeah.
and knowing that Styles is retiring at some point in time this year, and Lesnar is definitely retiring at SummerSlam because it's in his home state.
Mhm.
You telling me that those won't be the next two on the list?
Okay.
Something in my gut tells me that AJ is going to go out at WrestleMania.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But
And we've got what? It's January. We've got about 4 months, 5
But-
months.
are you talking about from Gunther's hand, though? Or are you talking about from somebody else?
I think Gunther's going to retire AJ too.
See, when I asked earlier, is there anybody who would be a good match for, say, Gunther or whatever, I didn't even, I honestly couldn't even really think of anybody, but when I was sitting here, I'm like, what if they're going with somebody young, like we said, like somebody that just came up from NXT, like Obafemi, big man, you know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, you know what I'm saying? Because he's still a baby face and, or whatever.
Obafemi,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's my point though. If you do that,
Mm-hmm.
then he is. To me, it's killing the momentum that Gunther's built with the retirements.
Okay, then what if you took, like, with Brock's retiring, you put Brock and Obafemi together? Brock and Obafemi, say WrestleMania, Brock loses, obviously retires, Obafemi's that beast now. And then you got him going after Gunther once Gunther gets the world championship again.
I just don't see them using Obafemi to do that.
You don't?
I honestly, I don't know how they're going to bring Oba in. I'm gonna have to honestly see that. But we're getting some messages. Hold on. Calamity said he can out wrestle Brock. Maybe not out brawl, but he's a fantastic technical wrestler. I agree, Calamity. Superfly said Gunther is the best at wrestling. Superfly also said it feels like Gunther is being booked to retire everyone. Laughing my ass off.
Where are we at right now?
And Calamity said he's the new big bad. Quote. He said. She said, "Hey, y'all got a jet." Gunther's going to retire everyone except Randy Orton. Laughing my ass off. Superfly Johnny Lee. And then he also said, y'all ready for tonight? Yes, we are. We're going to cover that here in just a few minutes, Johnny. All right, guys, on to the next topic. Let's see. The WWE is allegedly being sold again just 3 years after Endeavor acquired it.
Yeah.
Isn't it publicly traded? Like, how are they? What?
They're selling the company.
Yeah, but like, isn't the company like on Wall Street? Isn't it publicly traded and like everyone own it?
Well, it's publicly traded, but it's still a company. It's just a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
They could sell it and stuff and everything because it was publicly traded. That's how Vince sold it.
Yeah.
You can buy it. You just, I don't know. It's probably more technical than what I'll ever understand because, if I knew how to play the stock market, I wouldn't be, upstarting a friggin' podcast. I'd be just producing a podcast.
There you go.
But, so what do y'all think? Y'all think it's, they shouldn't, give me your thoughts. I'm all for it as long as the right people buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it boils down to. Is like who's going to be the one to buy it.
I got a question. And well, I think we all pretty much know who's going to end up buying it.
It's not Ted Turner. I think we'll be okay.
Some large aspect there. I don't know. That's are you still thinking Vince is going to come back and buy the company out from underneath him?
I don't know because if the numbers are what are correct that I've seen, I want to say it said that they were going to be selling. And see, this is a crazy thing. What was it? Vince sold it for like $8 billion.
Yeah.
The number that I seen was like 15 to 17 billion. So
that makes sense. I mean, Netflix probably doubled its value at least.
Oh yeah. Just and honestly and truthfully, here's what I'm thinking, because that'll segue into, once we get to that point, it'll segue into our next subject, and actually the next couple of subjects. That's why I saved them off here till around the end of the show. Honestly and truthfully, I don't think it would take somebody like Vince and Eric Bischoff and a big, investment group to have to buy into it
Yeah.
for somebody like Vince to take back over.
Yeah.
So honestly and truthfully, just my opinion, the only people I see that have the money to buy it's going to be the Saudis because they want wrestling.
They love that shit over there. Yeah. Damn, I
But
didn't
like, you don't
think
think
about
some
that.
private hedge fund might buy it, or like you don't think maybe some media,
Elon Musk is going to buy WWE.
somebody that
WWE in
like
space.
like maybe like a Disney or like Paramount
I
or
could see
somebody
a
like
Disney
that
doing
who's
it.
used to producing like a big product like that, who's used to dealing with something similar like that, not exactly like that. They could, instead of somebody that just doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and they just saw it and it's like, okay, something to play with.
Now,
I mean, it would
see,
only make sense for Netflix to buy them at this point.
Yeah, there you go. See, what if Netflix decides to buy them and shit? They got the money, obviously.
they could. I mean, but that's just weird to say that somebody like Netflix would be in charge of wrestling. Any
It'd be
wrestling.
either them or the
I think they're
Saudis.
smart enough that they would employ. I don't think Netflix would come in and make a bunch of big changes. They're already making money hand over dick with WWE on their, just having them streaming. So I don't think they would. I think with somebody like that, we wouldn't have to worry about them coming in and like trying to make a bunch of creative changes and shit like that. I think they would still keep Paul and Sean and all the legends that are running it.
If somebody like Netflix bought them, I wouldn't be surprised though to see them bring Vince back to let him run WWE.
At least as like kind of like a ghost. What's the word? Like a ghost operator or whatever they call it.
Well, see
But is he past his prime? Do you think wrestling has passed him up? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I don't
how
think Vince
old is
needs
Vince now? I mean, he's pretty old, and before he was kind of missing some stuff. As far as like Shawn Michaels said, like you think that Albert and Costello saying like we think Beavis and Butthead is.
Right.
So he was kind of back in the times then, and times have only moved on a lot farther. Do you think? I mean, he obviously knows business as far as that, but do you think he could be? He could get in tune with what wrestlers want nowadays, or fans want still.
I don't think that the fans have changed in what gets over at the heart of it, and that's more what has kept Vince as successful as he is. Because, like, yes, like you said, he thought Abbott and Costello was funny. Sean and Triple H thought Beavis and Butthead was funny, but he still knew how to elicit reactions out of the fans, and I think that's what kind of kept him viable. That and listening to his top talent, who was more into like John Cena. Vince, I'm sure, did not understand rap culture and hip hop, and Vince probably, just like anybody else, fucking hated the spinner belt. But then he starts seeing those dollar signs whenever, the merchandise starts rolling in. And he's like, okay, this is working. And so
Vince has always been that.
Do what?
Vince has always been that guy because of the fact that even if he hates it, if it's making money, he's going to do it.
Right, exactly.
I was getting ready to say, Uncle Slam, we couldn't see, but like from here up.
Oh, sorry.
But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know who should buy it, but whoever does buy it, I want them to just do it right, whatever they do. But that kind of segues, and I was going. Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say about that because y'all were talking. You, Tucker, mentioned Vince coming in and kind of being a ghost person behind the scenes. Did you know that there is some kind of hoopla that there may be a lawsuit coming from shareholders in WWE stock because they were told that Vince was no longer working for the company, but for a while he was still making creative decisions. So there's something about that. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't know details to be able to give. But like I was reading about that the other day. It was just a short little paragraph thing about it because they didn't know much either. But it is being talked about that shareholders may be going after TKO or whatever and saying, hey, we have the right to know who's working there and who's not working there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you all told us he wasn't working there when he possibly was. So I don't know. There may be something come from that. But we do know that there is a class action lawsuit being started because it says class action lawsuit filed Thursday alleges that WWE and ESPN engaged in deceptive marketing related to the transition of WWE's PLEs to ESPN direct-to-consumer streaming platform. The lawsuit argues that some fans who already received ESPN through cable or other providers were nonetheless required to pay an extra monthly fee to watch WWE events. According to the plaintiffs, this requirement conflicts with promotional messaging from WWE and ESPN, which they say implied that all existing ESPN subscribers would automatically have access to the PLEs. And if I'm not mistaken, Uncle Slam, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of touched on that on a previous show because we even asked the question, because it was confusing. I remember, I think it was you or the Vipers that said that you were going to try to dig more into it to find out, are we going to be able to watch it? Are we not going to be able to watch it and stuff like that? So, I mean, there may be something to this lawsuit. I mean, it's just, I don't know. We've touched on this so much to where we're blue in the face, but again, it's just like, we've been arguing this stuff again till we're blue in the face, but then this stuff pops up and you're like, okay, we were a little justified in what we were saying because, we didn't know. Nobody knew how, what, when, where, why, and all that stuff we could watch, how we were, all that stuff. It was just, it was very vague as to what was going to happen. And then when it happened, everybody was kind of sitting there with their jaws on the floor like, what the hell just happened? I thought I was going to be able to watch this.
Yeah.
Not that WrestlePalooza was anything worth, he didn't miss anything. But at the end of the day, it was like, I'm tired of getting dicked around.
Well, it was my understanding, and that it was that if you had already had ESPN, then it just came with it. But that you didn't have it, that that you'd have to buy the app and then get the subscription, of course, get the subscription, and then it would come with it. That's crazy that you had to pay an extra fee just to get wrestling when you already had ESPN.
Yep. Tucker?
I'm probably a cog in the machine here, but I'm just kind of the mindset, I recognize that I'm not paying an exorbitant amount of money now for cable or satellite like I would have 10 years ago. Every single thing that I want to watch, there's deals that are being done behind the scenes, whether it's on Paramount, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's on Netflix. So I just basically try to keep the sand out of my vagina and say, all right, well, just tell me what fee I need to pay and where I can watch, and then I'll go and I'll subscribe and I'll watch it.
So you're of the opinion you don't mind paying the other fees just to watch.
I think that
was there a time where
that they're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I don't think this is, it's not, like in the 80s whenever AT&T was monopolizing and, charging out the wazoo for long distance phone calls. We're not dealing with anything like that. I think it's just probably somebody misunderstood something. It was in the fine print. You know, if I've got cable TV and I have ESPN through it, and then they tell me if I want to watch wrestling, I need to go in and pay the additional fee and subscribe, then I just kind of like, okay, yeah, I must have misunderstood. My bad. I guess, yeah, that's something extra. And so I'll just go in and do that. Like I'm not, so worried about it that I would get involved in a class action lawsuit against WWE because I think, I'm so in the right or they've done me so wrong. I just would assume that a lot of people misunderstood or didn't quite know the ins and the outs of what was actually going on.
So to play devil's advocate here, I kind of see what you're saying. And in saying that, it kind of makes me go back because I guess that's kind of what I did.
What do you mean?
And we all did.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because we paid for cable. But if we wanted to watch Survivor Series, we paid an extra $50 that month to watch the pay-per-view.
100%.
Yeah, but
Yep,
that's
100%.
not the time we live in now and stuff.
Right, and that's what...
I mean, but cable is pretty much going away. It's all streaming services, which is pretty much the new cable now. But if you tell me, like, if I go someplace that, this is the price and this is all included, and then I get to that place and you're like, well, everything's included but that, and that's the reason I came here, that's different than, like, if you let me know up front, not when I get there and it's like, oh, well, sorry, last minute change. Yeah, we decided to tack on this extra price.
And see,
to me, that's a little bit different. Like, and that's the way what I feel like they kind of did. They were like, because, they're a business, and obviously they knew what they were doing and shit, and it's one of those things, if you're last minute, then people are more likely to panic and be like, okay, well, I really want to watch this, this is going to be a good match, let me, go ahead and get it just so I can, watch this match or whatever, like whether it's worth it or not, whether the rest of the league is even worth it. Like I said, it's different like if it's all up front now. If they came out and said, okay, if you have ESPN, you're still going to have to pay this additional fee, then that to me is it's shitty, but I know the rules. Don't wait till the last minute to tell me what's going on, and then I got to pay. That's what I don't like or whatever.
I agree, and I think that's what the lawsuit. That's what the court. It's sad that it's going to go to court over that, but that's going to be all it is in court, is reading that fine print.
Yeah.
And interpreting that fine print.
Yeah.
Did they say everything was included, or did they say everything was included but?
Yeah.
And that's literally what they're going to court over.
Yeah. And, J-Mac, to your point, I hadn't even really thought about, how we used to get nickeled and dimed over pay-per-views and stuff. But I can remember the shift because whenever I first started watching wrestling, you had like the weekend to buy the pay-per-view, right? And then there was a time frame, probably a few years into whenever I started watching, where they actually allowed you to buy the pay-per-view for like an entire month. So like if you missed WrestleMania, on March 31st, well, you actually had the entire month of April to go in and pay the $49.95 to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And at the exact same time that happened, I can remember Monday Night Raw, whenever they would recap the pay-per-views, they stopped showing the big highlight reel moments.
Yeah, the endings of it or whatever. They would show it right up to
they would show it, and then like they freeze frame and give you the commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And you stop being able to see these, because at that point I was a hardcore fan. I was buying every pay-per-view there was, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a great spot. And then it would show, Jeff Hardy flying off a ladder, and then it would freeze frame right before the big impact. And it would then end with an advertisement saying, go buy the pay-per-view today for the next 30 days. It's still available. And so they stopped showing you these big high spot moments so that you would actually, to encourage you to go and buy the pay-per-view. And so, I mean, yeah, we've been getting nickeled and dimed like that for years, but now we live in a time where there's so much media out there. You can go on TikTok and watch every big high spot from every WrestleMania ever, or go on YouTube and watch it all. And so we're just not used to it like we were 10 years ago, even, 15 years ago. And so they're like, hey, get ESPN. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch WWE, it's going to be an extra $10 a month, but we're not going to tell you that. That's in the fine print. Go read it.
What kind of cable did you have growing up?
Oh, they didn't have cable out in Mitchellsburg, Kentucky. It was all DirecTV satellite. It was the satellite where your papaw tells you to go change the channel so he can mow underneath the satellite dish.
Yeah, with the big ass
Yeah.
antenna.
Gosh, that sounds miserable.
So, because like I grew up with I started watching pay-per-views when it was like Skinamax after dark,
Yeah.
but you could hear it, but you couldn't see it. And every now and then you
Yeah,
could
it was
make
all
out a
blurred
drop
out.
kick.
Yeah.
But like I also started out with the pay-per-view where you ordered the shit and the damn thing didn't come on right when, so you had to hurry up and call the cable company back, and they'd have you on hold for 15, 20 minutes, and you're like, well, I want a discount then. This is crazy because, I didn't get to see the first two matches and everything. I got to wait for the replay. And that's the thing. We got the replay right after.
Yeah.
You didn't catch the replay. That was it.
Yeah.
There wasn't no, we're going to show it again for a month and everything. So that's why I was wondering what kind of cable you had. So you had like one of the big old satellite dishes, right?
Yeah, satellite. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, to quote
Also,
the kid,
I do recall in the mid 2000s there being like 2 different WrestleManias that you and I missed because we were in Nicholsville fucking stealing cable from the neighbors. So
I wasn't stealing nothing. I wasn't stealing anything. When I move into a place, if it's hooked up and I hook into it and it shows me things, it's not my job to call the cable company and tell them to come and unhook their cable.
Oh God, I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. I'm like, hey, Jason, we gonna watch WrestleMania? Nah, buddy, we can't. Why?
Well, see,
let's order it. I can't order it. Why not? Because we don't really pay for the cable. The neighbors do.
Look, like I said, I have never stolen cable. But like I said, if I move into an apartment,
these stories because he knows how fucking true
if I move into an apartment or something and the thing has cable already hooked up again, it is not my job to call Adelphia Cable and say, "Hey, I need you to send a technician. I'm receiving too many channels."
Oh my God.
But to go back to your satellite story real quick, to quote that kid from Back to the Future, wow, you must be rich.
Emily just pulled me aside and said, is stealing cable the equivalent of today sharing Netflix passwords?
Kind of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I mean, but except for the fact that, like, if you got caught actually in the box hooking cable up, you get charged with stuff and everything. That's why I didn't steal cable.
Yeah,
I was
so rare to catch somebody in the act because you could always be like, man, that shit was like that when I got there.
Right,
right.
It was
already hooked up. It's not my job to tell you that it's hooked up.
That's exactly it. It is not my job to call them and say, you know what, man. I wasn't getting ESPN before, but now I'm getting like 3 of them. Y'all might want to come check this.
Oh, me.
I mean, Adelphia, I just wanted to let you know something. I'm being a good
turn this shit
citizen.
off. I ain't paying for this.
Right, man. I don't want to get charged. So can you all come and turn this cable off that, somebody else left on?
It's about like the old woman who called the police because the man next door was exposing himself to her. The cops come over and they said, well, we can't see anything. She said, you sit up on this chair, you can.
Oh, man. All righty. Bruce Pritchard, the former Brother Love. I don't know if we've kind of touched on this too, Uncle Slam, about how we don't really care much for the 4 to 5 match pay-per-views. We like those, about 8 match pay-per-views. It feels like it makes it worth your while, worth sitting down and watching, and blah blah blah.
Well, Bruce Pritchard 2-day event either. I'm not talking about
Right.
8 matches in 2 days.
No. Right. I'm talking about 8 matches in one night. And that's the thing, man. They've got so much talent. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to do 8 matches each night of, WrestleMania or Royal Rumble. I think Royal Rumble should have been one of the first 2-night pay-per-views anyway, because of the fact that you could have main evented the women's Royal Rumble one night and the men's Royal Rumble the next night, instead of having 2 Royal Rumble matches in one night, because now the Royal Rumble match feels hurried.
Yeah.
So, in saying that, somebody asked Bruce Pritchard, like I said, aka the former Brother Love, they asked him why, about how many matches and stuff and everything. And I've watched the interview with him doing this too. But it says Bruce Pritchard doubled down on WWE's philosophy of keeping premium live events cards shorter, explaining that overloading shows hurts both the audience and the talent. Reflecting on past formats, he said bluntly, 10 matches on a card is hard to watch because by the time the show ends, fans are mentally exhausted, according to Pritchard. When you look at a presentation and you put so many things in a 10-match card, at the end of the night, what do you remember? His answer was simple. You're most likely going to remember the main event. Even if right, that's kind of what you're supposed to remember, but it doesn't. We remember Andre and Hogan, but I also remember Steamboat Savage. So that shoots his point down. Even if there are standout moments earlier in the show, Pritchard believes they often get lost. He pointed out that there may have been an angle in the third match and a hell of a match, but you have forgotten because you have seen so much other shit. Regardless of whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, the overload is why he firmly believes less is more. Pritchard acknowledged that WWE still fights the internal urge to squeeze everyone into major shows, saying sometimes you have to battle that demon of we've got to get more people on this. But the business model has changed dramatically in the streaming era. As he explained, the PLE streaming aspect of the business has changed that completely. Wrestlers are no longer paid based on buys, and there is no time allotment. On top of that, platforms don't really want more than 3 hours. Sorry, it's onto a second page. I've got to pull that up. Onto 3 hours. He also addresses the mindset of wanting a WrestleMania appearance at all cost. Pritchard mocked the thinking of, quote, I need my WrestleMania moment, unquote, and countered it with, quote, you have a moment next month in the main event, unquote. Wanting to simply be on the card isn't enough either. As he added, I want to be on WrestleMania, where it's going to get lost here. Instead, WWE now focuses on spreading meaningful moments across the calendar because there's a lot more territory and avenues. Pritchard closed by emphasizing how valuable weekly TV has become in modern WWE. With massive rights deals in place, he noted that you're doing television every week, and television is just as valuable as the PLEs with rights fees. In fact, he argued that being seen by millions on TV can outweigh a simple PLE appearance, stating that to be on television to a huge number of people versus PLEs, that has changed. Ultimately, his philosophy is clear. Every time you're on screen, it's valuable. What do y'all think? Do you all prefer the... Again, we've kind of said this ourselves, Uncle Slam, that I'm just old school. I'm not used to this 2-night pay-per-view stuff yet. I'm just now, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. Because asking people who are adults, who have work and children and other responsibilities, and everything, to sit down and 2 nights in a row, take an entire weekend to watch your show, is sometimes unfeasible for adults because, I've got to get other things done. So I can plan to sit down on a Sunday night, after the kids are settled down, supper's done, I can sit down and watch WrestleMania, and then go to bed afterwards and blah, blah, blah. It was a good WrestleMania, get up next day, go to work, talk to your buddies at work about WrestleMania. The 2-night thing, if it wasn't for the fact that I have weekends off and I have no social life, then I would hate it even more. But I'm not a big fan of it because of the fact that it's as an adult, it's hard to sit down and take 2 nights in a row. Again, I can plan one night. 2 nights is, like you and I, Uncle Sam, I was talking to you about going to that, what is it called? Squared Circle Expo?
Yeah.
Up in Indiana. That's a weekend event. That's something we're going to have to plan. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that we can just say, because again, it's a 2-night event. So that's something you have to plan ahead and everything. That's not something I can just sit here and go, oh, okay, well, the pay-per-view's tonight and tomorrow night. Oh, crap, I got to, change the oil in the car tomorrow, or, whatever. It's just too much to me. I would rather plan to sit in front of my TV for 4 hours watching 10 matches and have a great event than to sit there and have to spread it up between 2 days and figure out if I'm going to be which day I'm going to be able to sit down and watch. Which match means the most to me, which main event means the most to me that I want to see.
Well, I understand kind of what you're saying because I don't, I like 2-day events if the matches are worth it to begin with. The match has to be good, regardless of it doesn't make any sense. Now, the short pay-per-views where you just get, 4 matches, I'm not a big fan of that. But in the age that we live in now, where you have streaming and you can watch it anytime, it's not, to me, that big a deal because even if you don't catch it that night, you can still watch it next night. You can pull it up on your phone during a break or some shit like that. So accessibility is there and stuff. You don't have to watch it that night. Now, it might be hard not to find out the results from friends and maybe on your phone, through your feed or whatever. But I'm kind of old school like you. I prefer, like, if you're going to do a pay-per-view, I prefer at least 6 to 8 matches. You know what I'm saying? For the 2-night event, like I said, I think WrestleMania that it's fine, but it has to be good matches. Like, you can't just give me filler matches, shit that just take up time until the main event comes or until the rest of like Royal Rumble gets started or whatever. So, but I think they just kind of stretch it out just really to monetize it more and shit. Just to get, you know what I'm saying? They just thinning it
Why
out.
charge people for one night when you can charge people for 2?
Yeah, kind of like shrinkflation or whatever and stuff. Instead of like you're getting the same amount of product that you used to pay for, like you're still getting it, but they're just giving you a little bit less. Instead of getting 12 ounces of soda, you're just getting 11 ounces of soda. Instead of getting 10 matches, we're going to give you 10 matches, but we're going to make it 2 days. We're kind of just, just so we can get some more views, so we can say that we had more attendance records, so we can sell a few more tickets. You know what I'm saying? It's all the monetization, pretty much, is what it is.
And it's sad because, again, something that we have beat the drum 5 million times about on this show, the whole just tax and loyalty is what they're doing because they know we're going to watch. They know we're going to, pay for it. Like, Tucker said earlier, I mean, how we sit and gripe about it on these shows and everything, not just us, but other, podcasts and people and everything. But we still watch it. At the end of the day, we still watch it.
Yeah.
you know, and that's like, you know, I'm thankful I've got AMC on my cable provider because TNA is debuting the 15th on AMC. So, you know, I don't have to pay any extra to watch TNA, but it's just like, you know, I'm would I have figured out a way to, I don't know if I'd have figured out a way to add AMC, but there's somebody out there that would have.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so at the end of the day, they know they're going to get us. You know, and which congratulations to TNA for getting the TV deal, you know, for, you know, on AMC. You know, I'm excited the fact that there's not only just, you know, 3 options that I know of on, you know, main, I guess, network channels. There's going to be 4 options, you know, between AEW, WWE, TNA now, and NWA. You know, hey, it's a competition creates cash. So does controversy.
True.
I think
Well,
the
guys,
thing that stood out to me the most in Bruce Pritchard's, like, and everything you just read, was it sounds like they're trying to monetize and almost manufacture these quote unquote WrestleMania moments.
yeah,
Because like back in the day, even up in like John Cena's era, you know, whenever you had these 8, 9, 10, you know, like any given WrestleMania, you know, they'd start with Money in the Bank, you know, early mid 2000s. And then, you know, back when I was watching it, you had 2 tag team titles, Intercontinental, United States, Women's title, World Heavyweight Championship, and WWE Heavyweight Championship. That's 7 right there. And I might even be forgetting they had the Cruiserweight there for a while. That's 8. So if you
hardcore
wanted
title.
to hardcore title, like if you wanted to feature a title match, like you could set up a stellar pay-per-view back in 2005, 2006, 2007 and have every single match be a championship match. And to try to cut back on that, because it's almost like they're eliminating their competition amongst talent, because back in the day, you know, you had the Shawn Michaels, you know, the Jeff Hardys, who would go out there and kill it and then get back into Gorilla and say, yeah, follow that motherfuckers. You know, like you had that competition of who was going to be the best match on the card.
Yep.
And if you only have 4, that's, you know, I remember Taker, he did an interview where they were going over WrestleMania 25, and he looked at him and Shawn's time slot and realized they had like 8 minutes or something to do their match. And he said that he was reading it, and Shawn was next to him, and they just kind of like looked up at each other and was like, "They're giving us 8 minutes to do our match," and they just kind of both sort of like, and of course they went out there and they did like 20, 25, almost 30 minutes and completely tore the house down. And nobody remembers I couldn't tell you anything else from WrestleMania 25. I couldn't tell you anything from WrestleMania 24 whenever Ric Flair retired. After the "I'm sorry, I love you" and that super kick, couldn't tell you anything. Couldn't tell you anything from WrestleMania 23 after that Money in the Bank. You know, Jeff Hardy, Edge, Mr. Kennedy, all those guys. Like, yeah, that's what you wanted. You wanted to be, of 8 matches, you wanted to do something that stood out, and somebody left there thinking that was the match. And as for me as a fan, I've been to dozens of these live events. I want to leave there mentally exhausted.
Well, and
You
it
know,
harkens back to what I was saying too about the Hogan Andre. That was a huge moment in wrestling. But
Yep.
that's the thing. It was a moment.
Yep.
They don't show, when they show the clip of that match in intros and stuff and everything, they don't show pretty much anything except for
Yep.
the body slam, the leg drop, the pin, and Hogan standing up with the belt, holding it up.
Yep. That shot,
You know,
that
they
money
don't-
shot of him and the title flinging all over the place.
They
Yep.
don't show anything else, you know, because the match wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody's fault. Andre couldn't do much.
Yeah,
You know,
like
his
he
back-
was in a lot of pain and shit. Like,
Yeah, his back was all jacked up. But I can tell you why. I mean, I can tell you why Hogan and Andre were fighting too, but I can also tell you why Steamboat and Savage meant so much. And then they went out there and killed it. You know what I'm saying? They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They went out there with the mid-card heavyweight championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and they tore the house down in the middle of the card.
Yep.
So, to
And you
say,
never know. You never know when those moments are going to happen.
right. I mean, look at and it can be something just, totally benign. I want to say benign, but totally that's not going to lead anywhere. It was just a WrestleMania moment. Look at King Kong Bundy going out there and dropping the elbow on the little person. I don't want to say the other word because I'm from a different era, but
the M word.
The small people word. But he went out there and dropped an elbow on him and everything. It didn't lead anywhere. It wasn't, a big angle going on. Hillbilly Jim came in and and all the other little people turned their back, even his tag team partners turned their back on Bundy and ran him out of the ring. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you a great
but it was
example.
A WrestleMania moment.
This wasn't even WrestleMania, and I probably see this clip at least once a week. I was at Rupp Arena at a Monday Night Raw. Randy Orton. It wasn't even a match. I don't remember. Again, like you said, just a moment. It was a Monday Night Raw. Randy Orton got into a scuffle. It wasn't even a match. Evan Airborne did his sunset flip off the top rope. Orton popped up and RKO'd him in the middle of the flip.
Yeah. That's one of the top 5 RKOs
I see that
ever.
clip at least once a week on my TikTok algorithm. I was there for that moment. Could not tell you what was going on, why they were, because Orton was, he was kind of the bad guy, but he was over. Airborne was the white bread baby face who did the flips and stuff. I could tell you where I was sitting in Rupp Arena. I remember standing up and me and my dad looking at each other and we were like, we just witnessed a moment that'll never die.
Yeah.
That RKO. And again, like you said, it's just a moment. And if you only have 4 matches in a card, then as opposed to 8, 9, or 10, you're cutting the chances of those moments in half.
Because who's to say that what they have planned is going to be a memorable moment in the fans' eyes? The fans are the ones who determine what are the WrestleMania moments. Again, like you said, you can't manufacture WrestleMania moments.
Yeah, and that sounds
it's got to come naturally.
Yeah,
it's got to come naturally.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all the news I've got. You got anything, Uncle Slam?
No, the only thing I really have for news is I saw where they're making. I think the Undertaker is taking over as creative control for AAA. Him and Shawn Michaels. I think there's a couple other people, a guy from NXT, that are going over to kind of not take over like AAA, but I guess to make their stories better, to I guess enhance it or whatever, make it more WWE-like or whatever, since they bought them a couple years ago or a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had heard Taker had some involvement. I didn't hear what kind of involvement.
Taker's in charge of creative. Sean's down there too. Hold on. Let me see. What was the other name I had? Let's see. Jeremy Borash, I think it is. And Conan's also in charge down there too.
Oh,
Conan's now Conan, I'm pretty sure, is actually running it, but then Taker's creative, and then the others coming down to kind of help or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, that's somebody who I've always thought was a very underrated guy. If they would have let him, if they'd have let him just play his character the way he wanted to, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm saying let him be the Conan because I still feel that with the creative control that WCW had, they held Conan back a little bit when he was with the NWO
Mhm.
because he's not one of the people I expected to stand out in the NWO, but he did. You know what I'm saying? And it was just when he started coming to the ring and doing the olele,
Yeah.
I can't do it, so I ain't gonna try. But he, just the stuff like that he was doing started making him stand out from the Conan he was before he went into the NWO.
Mhm.
So I feel like the NWO gave him a little bit of freedom. I just wish that he could have. He's one guy that I wish they could have brought over to WWE
Mhm.
because I think like a faction with him and Eddie Guerrero and Chavo and stuff like
Oh,
an LWO.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With those guys, that would have been good. And I think Conan. I've always liked Conan, but I think that he got held back so much creatively and I'm glad to see that he's at least getting a chance to show his creative juices by running, AAA or whatever role he's
Yeah.
got and everything. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've like I said, I've always been a Conan fan. But I feel like his whole stint in WCW, he was in a faction of some sort.
Yeah. Like I feel
NWO,
like
the
he got
filthy
pigeonholed kind
animals.
of with the
Yeah,
character. Like it never involved, like it never really changed. I mean, the only thing really different was he went from who he was to what the red and black, and then that was
yep.
it.
And it was he was just kind of like he always had that gangbanger vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, but that can't be all he is. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
Let
There's
that
got to
man
be a
loose.
little bit more to it.
Yeah, just because he's Latino doesn't mean he has to, pigeonhole into that. I've always got to be in a gang or whatever, and that's what a stable is, a gang. You know what I'm saying? That I see they did pigeonhole him a lot, I feel. But no, guys, I don't have any more news. I do want to get y'all's opinion on this tonight at Jenny Rogers Community Center in Danville, Kentucky at 7 p.m. Uh,
7?
EWA New Beginnings, Elite Wrestling Alliance. It's going to have a huge card tonight. Let's see what we got here. We got in the finals of the EWA Championship, we have got Adrian Alexander, who is stepping in because Tony Corral is not medically cleared. And because of the fact that he's not medically cleared, that means Adrian Alexander gets to advance to the finals. And so the final match to crown the new and vacant EWA champion will be Adrian Alexander versus Jordan Cage. Guys, who you got?
Jordan Cage.
I'm feeling Cage.
Oh, man, this is hard. I like Cage, but, and as much as I love Adrian too, I gotta go with Cage. He's the cagey veteran, and plus, shout out to Bobby Blade.
Yeah, that's what he's got Bobby Blade with him, so he knows
That's it. You always got to watch out for the lone wolf roaming around outside and everything. He's always circling that camp and everything. You know what I mean? So you got to watch out for him. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jordan Cage on this one to be the crown. I believe it's his second time. If he wins tonight, that he will be crowned the EWA champion.
I'll be there.
I'll be there, Eklund. We also have the EWA Women's Championship. Women's Championship. Sorry, I don't know. I had a brain fart. Excuse me. Lexi Green versus Brooklyn Ray. Who y'all got? I don't really know much about Brooklyn Ray.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I
know
was
if I've
gonna
ever
say.
seen her.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the champ on this one since I don't know much about Brooklyn.
And
Yeah.
Miss Emily, if you have any insight on Brooklyn Ray, please fill us in. We'd like to know.
I'm not too familiar with Brooklyn. Like, I think I've seen her at maybe one show before, but aside from that, I don't know too much about her, so I can't really comment on anything that she's done. However, I think the one show that I did see, I really enjoyed it. Um,
Is she new to the business, or has she been in it for a while?
to be honest, I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, I have seen her work before and it was really nice. I
Okay.
really enjoyed it. I am really excited to see the match. I mean, I'm always a Lexi Green stan. I love Lexi to death. So for me, it's a match that I know I'm going to end up enjoying no matter who comes out on top.
So when
Okay.
Nina calls out Brooklyn's name, you're gonna be right there with me whenever I go, who?
No!
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Lexi Green too, just because of the familiarity with her. I know she's been a good champion. She's been the champion as long as I've been going to EWA. So I don't see no reason why she won't continue her reign. So I think we're all going with Lexi, and well, except for Emily. Emily's going for whomever wins because it's going to be a good match. Touche. For the EWA Heritage Championship, the champion Jacob Ratliff is going to defend his title against his good friend Steel Wool. Who y'all got?
I'm gonna go with
His name is
time for
Steel Wool.
yeah.
Steel
I'm gonna go
Wool.
with Steel Wool because it's time for a title change. So
I'm gonna have to go for just rooting for a good match on that one. I'm not too familiar with either one of those guys. I don't think.
Jacob Rout.
Let's see. I kind of feel you on the title
Call me.
change. I think the title is going to change hands, but I it's going to be a good match. Friends fighting each other is always good. But at the end of the day, Jacob was a good guy. He let my daughter hold the belt, so I'm kind of partial. I'm torn here. I really don't know. This is one I'll be happy with whoever wins. I think it'll be a good match, and I think if Steel Wool wins, he deserves it, and if Jacob wins, he deserves the W just as much. So I mean, I think the better man's just going to win tonight, and I don't know who that is. Uncle Slam, who'd you say you had?
I said Steel Wool because I said it was
Steel.
time for a title change.
That's right. So we got Steel Wool and two good matches. And in a triple threat match,
Oh my God.
we have Gaston LaRue versus.
I'm sorry, did you just say Gaston?
Is that not his name?
His
It
name
is?
is Gaston.
Gaston. I'm sorry, man. Look,
Oh.
I'm giving him crap because he was giving me crap about buying stuff for my daughter from him. He was telling my daughter, I got video footage. My daughter, man, they were cutting promos on each other right there. It was hilarious. It was absolutely. She was like, "Well, I'm not blah 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 blah," and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, you should buy crap for me and go over there and tell your dad to give you some money because I know you ain't got no money and everything." And she was like, "I'll have my brother-in-law come and arrest you. He's a cop." He's like, "Your brother-in-law can't arrest me," and it was hilarious. They were just giving each other. It was good. But we got Gaston. Sorry. Versus just Mike Howard. Look, I'm. Do you hear the accent, Emily? Do you think I can say these fancy words the right way? Gaston. The
Have
way
you
I
heard
read it
my
as
natural
Gaston.
accent? You think I can say words the right way?
So we got again, sorry, Gaston versus just Mike Howard and Ethan. Can you take me higher? Who's everybody got?
I'm gonna have to go with my boy Ethan. I think he's gonna come out on top on that one.
I'm going with Gaston.
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 I am going
Last show I
to
went
go.
to, Ethan gave me a hug, and I just wanted to put the little guy on my shoulders and buy him a balloon.
Can you stop it?
Oh, I hope he's not watching this.
Oh, you're not well. Anyways, I am going to go with Ethan to win this one as well. Let's see. What other matches do we have? We have the newcomer Charlie Madsen versus Damian Chambers. I'm going to be honest with you. I've only seen one match between Charlie Madsen, and I have never seen Damian Chambers. So if you have any insight, Emily, please let me know.
Hold on. I have to go look at faces.
She's looking through her friends list on Facebook.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you're
She's
so.
looking
I don't know any of these guys, so
I don't
I'm just
recognize
gonna
those
guess
names or the faces.
Damian Chambers.
I don't think I've ever seen either one of these two. Girls.
Who's the one on the right? He's hot. I'd hit that.
Can you not? Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So it looks like Damian Chambers is out of Columbus, Ohio. I've personally never seen him or anything, but he, based on like some reels and stuff like that he's posted, it seems like he works really well, and I can't really complain. Like I said, I've never seen him work, but it looks like he mainly does stuff in Ohio. So
He's out of Ohio, then I'm not cheering for him. I'll cheer for the other guy.
it's it's gonna be really cool to see a wrestler work that I haven't seen before.
I remember Charlie from last show, but I've never seen anything on Damian Chambers. So I'm going to go with the unknown. No offense to Charlie, but I know he's a newcomer, so he's, learning the ropes of it and everything. And as far as, getting his ring, presence under his belt and everything, hey, you never know though, the underdog could win. Not that Charlie's an underdog, but I think Damian's going to walk away with this one. So I think we're all going with Damian. Or no, we're not all going with Damian. Tucker's going with Charlie.
Is he the one from Ohio?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm going with Charlie.
And in tag team action, we've got the BSB. Is it BSB or 3SB? I'm not for sure. I can't tell if it's a 3 or a B, but I'm going to assume it's a B. So BSB Boys versus Cash Out. We got OG Ugly and Kenneth Gaines versus All In Ace Carmichael and Cash Atkins. Who y'all got?
I'm gonna have to go with OG just because I need some good karma with his wife. I think she hates I think she fucking hates me.
If Nina doesn't hate you, I hate you for her.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Gosh, you're annoying.
Well, Tucker's walking around with that heel persona.
Already.
No, Tucker's walking around being Tucker, which is absolutely insufferable.
Yeah. I don't know even how it started, but it was Sean. Sean John's egging me on.
No,
he was right there in front of me.
First of all, you don't get to bring my father into this shit, all right? Fuck you.
Every time she announced it, I did it in Frankfurt too. Every time she announces somebody, never fails. She introducing OG Ugly. Who? Every time. So I think she hates me. So I gotta go for OG just because they're pretty cool.
Who you got, Uncle Slam? Because I'm
going with the boys because Cash and Ace have had some issues the last couple of times. They've had matches, so I feel like there's going to be a falling out between them two. And
I was going to say the same exact thing.
So yeah,
Yep.
I'm going with the boys over there.
That's who I'm going with. It's nothing against you, Cash. We love you. Thank you for coming on the show. Please come back anytime. But I feel something, there's still some tension, there in the ranks between you and your tag partner. So I think I'm gonna have to go with the other guys.
All in Ace Carmichael.
But yeah, guys, that's all I've got for the day. Come out tonight to EWA New Beginnings. It's going to be a great event, great card, crowning a new champion. Jenny Rogers Community Center, Danville, Kentucky. 7 p.m. is bell time. Doors open at 6. Come get your seats, get your popcorn. It's going to be a good show. And guys, if I ain't got nothing else, y'all got anything else?
That's it.
If enough people like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, I'll wear my leather pants tonight.
No, you won't.
There you go. Y'all heard that.
Hey, y'all heard it. Like, share, subscribe. Come on. What's enough? You said enough people. What's enough?
Give me a number.
Give me
What's a number?
Why do you
Hang on.
torture me
Hang
like
on.
this?
Right here.
We'll tell you.
Red
Red
leather
leather too. Red leather.
shit.
He is going big sexy tonight. Come
I'll
on,
wear 'em.
guys.
They're
Who
all
wants?
in them.
I will post all the pictures on Headlock's page. We need you all to get the like, share, subscribes, follows, all that stuff up. What we say it, because I mean we small, so don't be giving us no big number like 200 or nothing, because that ain't gonna happen.
You're following. You know the following. You decide the number.
We get let's say if we get what do you say, Uncle Slam?
What, 30 people?
I was gonna say like 10, man. I'm
Okay,
almost,
10.
thinking
Okay,
10.
there we go. Yeah.
all right. If we get 10 likes, shares, subscribes, follows, Tucker will wear his big sexy red leather pants tonight to the EWA show.
Them.
There's a hole in them. See,
There's a hole in the
got
thigh, so you'll get to see a little bit of thigh action.
he's got a little air conditioning going on with
Just a
him.
little bit.
So other than that, though, come on, guys, let's get this up. Who don't want to see Tucker in some red leather, big sexy
Me.
leather pants? Come on, let's do it, guys. Emily's over there saying me. I don't want to see this. All right, guys, get it up. And we appreciate y'all being here and tuning in. We love y'all. See y'all next week. Referees hit that 3 count, so we are going to ring that damn bell.